Hey guys, I'm meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather. This is the On the Snow Before You Go forecast, and we have a major pattern shift underway for the west. That is the hot spot. If you're looking for powder, and we're going to have several days of big powder out west, stick to the resorts in the purple higher on the spider chart here that I created. And that's a lot of Colorado. And there's some nuances to that we'll get into, but it's especially true for a lot of the Pacific Northwest into Idaho. Is going to be a big period for Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, the Wasatch of Utah in particular, and the Sierra are going to get nailed as it looks right now. The Sierra resorts, all the way from Shasta down to Tahoe to Mammoth, which with the storm number 2 in the pattern looks to be quite significant for the Sierra. Northeast, unfortunately, you can see the resort like Killington much lower on the list. So there's a lot of issues with the Northeast. In fact, here are my bullet points. It's really a 2 to 3 storm combo for the West. Most places will have 3 storms. Some will have on the verge of 2 to 3 within the period through 12/4. Major accumulation, and it's going to be colder, much colder, with a couple different shots of Canadian air. The Northeast is really just under the influence of a bad storm track, with the storms going to the north in particular, so most of the precip is going to fall as rain. There will be some snow on the backside in the colder air of all those storms for the Northeast, but not a lot. Not a lot. Let me show you the setup right now, and what we have is a parade of storms. And the storm track you can see goes all the way out in the Pacific with a number of low pressures lined up on the northern branch. The southern branch is also going to be active, and that's going to play into moisture availability. So we'll have orographics that will line up nicely from the northern branch, and then the southern branch is going to provide extra moisture. So we're getting a number of different things in play here. So let me just show you what the jet looks like. Forecast jet on Monday the 28th. There's our first low pressure diving south out of the Pacific Northwest through Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and this will affect Utah and Colorado. This first one only brushes California, so don't get your hopes up. The first storm on Monday, Tuesday, it really has no effect other than a light accumulation, a light dusting for the Sierra. This one will largely miss you. The second storm is the one to watch, but this one will come through the Intermountain West with a lot of cold air, some nice snow ratios, and some good accumulation, and set the stage for the next storm. So down the road, after we break into December, this is the 4th, another storm coming through. And look at the west-east orientation of the jet. So I just talked about this. So you got the northern branch providing the storms, southern branch with the moisture. The two are combining, and this is going to be a major setup for California. And we'll get blow-off precip into the Intermountain. Let me take you into even further down the road. This is the 6th of December, another storm coming in. Another one. This is diving south on a powerful jet. Northern branch really just hammering the west. So we've got a really active pattern here for the west. That's the place to be. Let me just show you what I'm thinking as far as accumulation for the northeast. So this is the northeast through the entire period, 27th, all of 27th through the 4th. Again, the issue is the storm track is just not good. It's too far north. You put all the ski areas into the warm sector, and most of it's going to be rain, and you'll get some wraparound snow with the 2 storm systems on the backside. But it's brief, and so 1 to 4 inches is probably as good as it gets for the northeast. It's a seesaw pattern, right? So the west is in the prime position. So this is the 27th out west through all of the 29th. The big accumulations are running on a diagonal from west to south, from basically on a northwest type of orientation here from the Pacific Northwest through Idaho. Look at the Tetons and the firing range, and so is the Wasatch, and the central to northern mountains of Colorado do very well with this type of west-northwest setup, and a powerful jet and much colder air to really ramp up the snow ratios. So within that period, I love the central to northern mountains of Colorado. I like the Wasatch, I like the Tetons, and I like the Pacific Northwest for the biggest numbers. Notice California only brushed at this point, only brushed. Here comes the big period for the West in general, the 30th through the 4th. First of all, look at California. There's a weak atmospheric river setup with storm number 2, and it's going to get nailed with probably 2 feet or more across Tahoe and Mammoth. And Shasta, you're starting to see the influence of a third storm at this point, so that's why the number's so big. You're already starting to see the influence of another storm system, but that could be huge for that area, with over 4 feet, 5 feet. Pacific Northwest does very well. Again, there's already a third storm coming in at 12-4, 12-5, 12-6. So you're starting to catch some of that accumulation very late in the period. That's why the numbers are so big. Look at, if this actually plays out, look at look at Schweitzer, look at Red Mountain, look at Fernie, even Brundage to Whitefish. So there's a very strong orientation, of course, with the jet. There's a lot of orographics, and you're going to get some blow-off precip. And you're already starting to see the influence of another storm, 12-4, 12-5, 12-6. That's why the numbers are so big here. So, again, this is over a long period of time. It just goes to show you that there are some pockets of very heavy snow potential. Doesn't mean it's going to fall exactly like this, but the potential is there. Another great period for the Tetons and the Wasatch in particular. Little Cottonwood Canyon, I think grand totals from the 27th through like the 4th could be 2 to 3 feet. In Colorado, still some snow falling there. This second wave kind of favors the southern mountains and the southwest aspects, but you get the idea. I mean, nonetheless, through the entire period, we're talking about some big total potential. It just gives you something to watch, and this is the place to be. Thanks, guys, for tuning in here again. I always appreciate it. This is the On the Snow Before You Go forecast.